started the Sanctuary magazine, I suspect he was well ahead of his times. A former advertising professional who quit to discover his passion for wildlife. He is today quite well known in the conservation circles, and it's a great pleasure for us at an author's afternoon at Taj Bengal to welcome Bittu. Nice to have you here.
Thank you. Pleasure to be with you, Prabha.
Thank you. In conversation with him is our well-known actor, Gaurav. Over to you.
The first thing I would like to say is I have a really bad cold, so if I end up coughing while we're talking, please excuse me. I feel really privileged to be sitting here with you because ever since I was a kid, my father has initiated me into wildlife conservation, preservation, and why it is important for us as the new generation to be involved with this. And one of the names which has come up very often is yours, because you are someone who I have always looked up to, and it is an absolute pleasure to be sitting here with you, and I am quite nervous actually.
Oh, come on.
And I was going through the book the other day, and Sundarbans is one place which we have been visiting ever since I was around, I think, 8 years old. I'm not really sure, but then as luck would have it, after 13 years of going to the Sundarbans, we saw a tiger for the first time at the Waki, and that was really something else. But my father has always told me that seeing a tiger is not the most important part of going to the forests. That is where you always came in, wildlife conservation and preservation. So I would just like to ask you, why should a place like the Sundarbans be protected in the first place?
Oh Lord, we would need about another month for sessions to give all the reasons, but to put it as simply as this, I mean, a place like the Sundarbans, if ever somebody wanted a petri dish to find out how life evolved on Earth, it had to have been some kind of soupy habitat like this, because we all know that all life began in the sea. And today, if you look at the margins of sea and land, that is, you're describing the Sundarbans right now. And the reasons in this modern day and age, at one time, of course, the reasons you've heard of Dr. Rai, you've heard of, all the myths and the legends and things, because people knew that something more powerful than themselves existed, and that something gave them food, and that something gave them domicile and protection and all those various things, and they worshipped it because they were grateful. But we seem to, as human beings, have evolved into a different kind of, how would you say, space. And today, if you are an economist, I would say to you that the Sundarbans feeds a vast population of human beings on Earth. It's not just human beings in West Bengal or Bangladesh. Because these are the nurseries of the seas, one of the finest, largest, most active, most vibrant nurseries of the oceans. This is where sharks come, for instance. This is where prawns come. This is where Ilish marsh comes. This is where it's a soup of life. Okay, this is one thing, fish. But has an economist ever sat down and calculated what the value of just the food production of the Sundarbans? No, they calculate the fish production after it's landed. The fish that is consumed is never counted. It doesn't touch your GDP. The guy goes in over there, he eats his fish. Millions, not 1 million, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. 14, 15 million people directly eat that fish without it going to a market, or rather it's just a trade. It's more or less. So that's one matter. If the Sundarbans were magically to vanish, sadly to vanish, Calcutta's economy would be finished. West Bengal's economy would be finished. There would be no economy to speak of. To start with, the force, the sheer force. Ayla was a baby. It was a tiny little infant mewling at your door. The type of cyclones that are going to be faced by West Bengal and Bangladesh tomorrow are of the kind that would put even the recent miseries that North America and Europe have faced to shame. Now, the real value of the Sundarbans, to my mind, in an era of climate change, is that it's a protective armor. And it is possibly a greater carbon sink than the rainforests of the world. Not just the Sundarbans alone, I'm talking about mangroves per se. But think about it, what is carbon? Carbon is all the dead animals and all the dead plants washed down by the Ganga, by the Brahmaputra, and all comes out over there and then it settles down. That's carbon. Every time you're dredging, you're putting that carbon back up. Every time you're changing the habitats, you're putting that carbon back up and you're causing climate change. So, why save the Sundarbans? I would start with the fact that in today's day and age, that it's an economic asset beyond calculation. I would say that without this economic asset, without this ecological asset, the economic foundation of Bengal could actually collapse. India could collapse. And then we can go into so many other reasons. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just so happy when I just come back from the Sundarbans yesterday with Joydeep and Sundeep, what should I tell you? When you're on that boat, you know what goes through my mind is, I take a deep breath and I say that somewhere in that mangrove there was a tiger that took a deep breath too, and when he exhaled, some of those molecules came directly into my lungs and I feel happy to be alive. That's the real reason to save the Sundarbans.